Hello everyone, my name is Zhang Xu, and I'm here to have a brief introduction about my research proposal. Proposal title is What Influences Mainland Chinese Students' Course Engagement in Hong Kong College. It's a case study of Master of Education taught postgraduates at HKU, and my supervisor is Dr. Carlos Soto. And my contents is as below. The first part is background, and then research purpose and research questions, and literature review, and the last part is about methodology. Okay, the part of background have three parts, and about three parts we can do why I research these questions. The first one is about students' course engagement. As we know, the learning process should be during the learning process, students should be totally engaged and take initiative to digest what they have learned in classes, especially for college students. They are not supposed to just receive the information in a passive way, but current studies at home and abroad shows that so much concerns about this issue. And as we know, in the college, where a free atmosphere is favored and advocated, the students' course engagement was always ignored by both teachers and students. And also, in your research, it has reported that up to 97.5% of students was reported to have the recessive absence of classes. So we can see that the students' course engagement has become a great concern for effective teaching and learning activities. And the second part is about the mainland Chinese students in Hong Kong. As we know, because of the historic reasons, Hong Kong has advantage of internationalism, and the universities in Hong Kong also share the high international reputation, and also because of the regional education policy, as well as the softness of the border between mainland China and Hong Kong. The universities in Hong Kong have attracted many mainland Chinese students to choose to study here, but the researchers have found that just like many cross-border students in other places, the mainland Chinese students studying in Hong Kong also suffer in adaptation, for example, academic, linguistic, and identity. However, the third part is about researches on this issue. However, after reading about literature, we can find that scholars have paid less attention on this issue. For example, research about students' course engagement is mainly focused on the primary and secondary school. Research studies about cross-border learners often conducted in the micro perspective. For example, the reasons for the mobility and adaptation problems and something like that. A few studies concentrate on the cross-border students' course engagement. So, research purpose for this study is that focusing on the 8 mainland Chinese students in Hong Kong University. This study is designed to provide a deep understanding about those students' experience of their course engagements, and also try to explore the influential factors concerning this issue from multiple angles. For example, we try to identify the factors of the students, teachers, classroom, and something like that. And also with the hope that this study can assist those cross-border students as well as teachers to optimize their teaching learning strategies, and also serve as a supplementary materials for relative study in the higher education fields and cross-border contents, especially in Hong Kong. In order to address that kind of problems, the research questions of these studies. The general research question is what affects mainland Chinese students' course engagement in Hong Kong colleges? And the sub-question is what are their course engagement experience of those mainland Chinese students in Hong Kong college, and also what are their perceptions of factors that may influence their course engagement in Hong Kong college? And the fourth part is about literature review. As we can say, the first part is about student course engagement. After reading about literature, we found that the definitions about course engagement may vary from different scholars, but they all have the common characters set of high engagement of the courses. For example, the physical and psychological energy, whether they show much initiative, and whether their motivation, active learning, and make sense of what has been taught, and whether they involved in a meaningful way. And in this research, we just adopted the definition of Austin, and it refers to define the research as the amount of physical and psychological energy that a student devoted to the academic experience. And the second part is about factors that influence students' course engagement. According to the literature, the factors can be divided into four parts: the students' factors, teachers' factors, classroom factors, and other factors. As we can see, student factors mainly focus on the communication, apprehension, and the students' international relationship with their classmates during the course, and also their previous learning experience and their attitude or expectations towards the subjects. As for the teachers' factors, teacher factors as professors, teachers, and technical, emotional behavior in teaching process, and their feedbacks to the students also contribute to the students' level of course engagement. The second factor is about classroom factor. For example, the types of courses, the timing. It means that the courses begin. We have courses on daytime or in the tonight on policies, class size, seating arrangements, and also part of these factors, some scholars also focus on the gender, race, and classes, and culture, language about these students in terms of student course engagement. And third part is cross-border students' mobility between mainland China and Hong Kong. And it's about three important points. The first is there has been an increased number of mainland Chinese students studying in Hong Kong for many reasons. For example, we just mentioned about the softness between the two borders, and the educational policy, as well as the higher reputation of Hong Kong universities. But we found that studies concerning these cross-border learners mainly focus on the micro perspective. For example, their mobility and their mobility, human resources. Those mainland Chinese cross-border learners suffer many problems: linguistic, academic, and cultural adaptations. So last part about methodology. Methodology, the first part is approach. In this study, we adopt a qualitative study. According to the researchers, as we all know, qualitative study allow you have the chance to go into participants and then focus on the deep understanding or perception about particular people or issues. And then there's the study, as we mentioned above, the purpose of the study is to develop an understanding about students' perceptions and explore the influential factors about their course engagement. So I think so it's the qualitative study maybe maybe the good choice for this kind of researches. The settings are. And the next part is this part is about settings. We focus on the Master of Education taught postgraduates program, and this kind of program is mainly conducted by coursework, mainly about coursework, and very often we need to taught course dissertation project. And also we have daily classes at weekends night from 6 p.m. or 6 to 30 p.m. last for about 2.5 hours or 3 hours per session. Participants in this study adopt the purpose-safe sampling method, and we choose 8 participants, and also 4 female and 4 male students. They are all 1 year full-time Menonite taught postgraduates who come from different specialisms of math program in HKU, and some of them have working experience, and some of them just go directly into the HKU after they finish their bachelor degree. And there comes to the data collection and analysis. In this study, the semi-structure and in-depth individual interviews was used in collecting data, and the data collection will be conducted in the middle of semester, when the students have more familiar with the students, the campus, the students, the teachers, and the courses here. And at the very beginning, the consent forms will be given to the participants and make sure they know more about the research purpose, and also the confidentiality. To make sure the confidentiality, I will allocate corresponding numbers to their names, and also in terms of the language, which is the Chinese, that is the mother tongue of the participants, to minimize information division. And during the interview, the answers, the dialogues will be recorded by typing and the notes at the same time under their permission. Analysis is the dialogue will be transcribed into English, and then coding into certain themes. Careful analysis would be done according to the coding. And this about my interview questions. About these interview questions, for example, can you give me a brief introduction about your education background or working experience, to know about herself, this is to identify the students factor, and from the perspective of students factor, and to identify the factors that is concerning with his or her course engagement, and something like that. Okay, thank you. That's all.